Hi everybody, it's the Ultimate Rabbit again. I enjoyed doing my commentary for the very first episode of Homicide Life on the Street, entitled Gone for Good, so now I'm back to talk about the second episode of the first season, entitled Ghost of a Chance. And it was, teleplay was written by Noel Behn, and the story is by Tom Fontana, and it was directed by, of all people, Martin Campbell, who would go on to direct not one but two James Bond films, Goldeneye and Casino Royale, which is one of my very big favorites of that franchise. He also did direct Green Lantern. The less said about that one, the better. Let's go ahead and start this commentary. I think you all know the drill. I'm sure you got your DVD queued up. So we're going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here we are looking at the body of Adina Watson. This is Tim Bayliss' first case, and it's a case that will come to haunt him throughout the entire run of the series. I mean, you never forget your first homicide case. You also don't forget your first murdered child, as Lieutenant Giudicello would later say. It's always the children killings that get these guys, or anybody. No one should have to die like that, or let alone so young. And we see these guys are veterans. They know how much time to spend on the scene and when to leave. I think this is when it comes to it, I think these characters, this is their way of sort of fending off the miserable parts of this job. Again, we talk a lot about how physically dangerous being a cop is, but it's also, this show shows how psychologically damaging it is to be a cop. They just want to get out of here. Of course, Bayliss wants to make sure he hasn't missed a thing. That's understandable. And here we got a cameo by a rat. And I love how Munch ends up getting pissed off at this rat. I think that's maybe his way of dealing with the frustration of a child being killed. This hat Pemberton wears, I haven't seen it before. Is he wear it again? No, that doesn't really fit him. Now we're going to come up on a scene later in which the coroner, or medical examiner, if you will, tells Bayliss he moved the body too soon, which is weird because, quite frankly, if the detectives knew, I see this as a goof on IMDb. They said, the detectives would let them know if they moved the body too soon, and the way they said it's like, look, we've been here for ages, let's go. It is, people bring up it's kind of inconsistent, and I get it. And of course, we got these great opening titles again. This time they're shortened a bit. To the length they would be on the rest of the episodes. The very first episode, the titles were a little bit longer. Great titles, great theme song. This is one of the more unusual themes I've ever heard on a television show. For some reason, Ned Beatty's name ends up at the very end, which is weird because everybody else, it's all done alphabetically by last name, and somehow his name is made to stand out among others. So this is a first for Bayliss, his first case, and his first time having to notify family members that another family member has been deceased. Pemberton is cool as can be, but Bayliss is like, This actress, I don't have her name in front of me yet. Let's see if I can look it up. But she's extraordinary. I mean, portraying the grief of a mother who's just lost a child, and ever so horribly. It's an especially brutal scene. These kids are great. I love that look on Andrea's face, like, look, don't look to me, you can do this, this is your job. This is what you signed up for. I like how the music sort of plays underneath everything, heightening the devastation. Something I would never wish on my worst enemy, to outlive their child. And again, Templeton is as cool as can be. Bayless decides to help clean up the mess one of the family members made there. And this is the episode that introduces the concept of the red ball, which is a very important case where all the detectives are involved. It's not just the primary and the secondary. It's everybody. Everybody's involved, because the sooner it gets closed, the better. So Noel Behn wrote this episode. Noel Behn is has long since passed and wrote episodes of Homicide as well as a couple episodes of Oz, and his first novel, The Criminal Letter, was drawn from his work in the U.S. Army's Counterintelligence Corps. That's interesting to know. His nonfiction book, Big Stick Up at Brinks, was turned into a William Friedkin movie called The Brinks Job, starring Peter Falk. This is interesting. I mean, he has his first case, and for some reason, Bayless does not have a desk. Yeah, follow the book, follow your gut. And, this is, again, Kyle Secor, who I think I only previously saw him in Sleeping with the Enemy and also City Slickers. He has one of the most enviable roles in television, taking this character from being a naive rookie to an experienced veteran detective. And now we're going to be coming up here. Some people point out this episode shows how, detectives don't just investigate murders in, inner city areas, or it's all over the place. No socioeconomic status is left unexamined. We're coming up to this great example of the dark humor the show has to offer. We're also getting introduced here to Chris Thorman, a police officer played by Lee Tergesen. Wonderfully, he plays him as a really cool guy. He would later go on to play Tobias Beecher on Oz. where he played a not so nice guy. And Mrs. Doing this is Gwen Verdon, who of course did Sweet Charity, did a number of musicals, and was quite the talent. Poor Chris has to keep an eye on these two. 60 years this couple lasted. It's amazing. And we're coming up to Wendy Hughes, who's playing Dr. Carol Blythe. And she points out they let them move the body too soon, which is odd considering that there were a bunch of homicide detectives there saying, look, let's just move the body in, okay, it's over. Now, this first season, they actually shot in a real morgue. And the actors apparently hated the smell so much. You know, to echo a line Michelle Forbes had in a season 5 episode, yeah, formaldehyde. You never get used to it. I like this little looks on Bailiff's face. He's getting unnerved by what happened to this girl. Oh, these guys are just cool as can be because they've been through this a lot. Face of an angel. He's getting emotionally involved in the case, and the one thing the homicide detectives don't want to do is get emotionally involved. They just want to close the case, not grieve. And of course, then again, you got Crissetti here, John Polito, who was the first cast member to exit the show, talking about the Lincoln assassination. It kind of makes you wonder why he's doing that, because I guess it gives us something to think about. I don't know, because obviously it's clear that John Wilkes Booth shot Lincoln, yet Crissetti is intent on, getting to the bottom of everything. And I like this. Wayne Ewing did a lot of the camera work in the first season. He will not be around for the second, I believe. And I like this sort of documentary feel of the show. I like how real it feels. Well, there are a lot of conspiracies. For some people, there's more conspiracies than there needs to be. It's funny, Ballender says he can't stand Munch, but somehow he ends up telling him a lot of stuff. And now they're back at the same crime scene. Again, very nice guy, Thorman. This may seem strange and unusual, but remember, this series is based on a non-fiction book by David Simon. So Gwen Verdon, the great Gwen Verdon. I love her performance here. How did these two remain married for 60 years? I mean, well, we're about to find out for a second, but still. It's interesting about Bolander. At times he talks about being trapped in a miserable marriage, and then other times he's like, I never should have gotten divorced. Or maybe it's just his way to get the witness to talk. And now comes the important question. Yeah, it's not really realistic, is it? Exactly. Take credit and then not take the blame if things go wrong. The coffee light's lit. Code for commentary. And now, Zelchik Ivanik, his inaugural appearance is District Attorney Ed Danvers. One of the great character actors. He's one of those actors who's in every other movie, and I heard he was extraordinary when he played Hamlet on stage. It's been something to have seen that. I like how he said, maybe I'll end up in a above-average law firm, LA law firm. Of course, that would never happen with Danvers. Baltimore was in his blood. Melissa Leo, man, it's great. Her hair is great as always, and just she really played a tough as nails cop who just wanted to be seen as one of the guys, and she really did. I mean, she's my favorite female detective on this show, I think. With all due respect to the others who came in after her. And now Bayless is going over this stuff, and then Pembleton is quick to interrupt him and say, these guys know the story. They know how to do this. They know And of course, there are cracking jokes because, hey, that's just the way of the gallows humor is the way of the homicide detective. I love Brower. He's very. I mean, he's just impatient. He wants this case because he thinks Bayless can't handle it. Coming up to a big scene here. I remember the first time I watched this episode, it just shocked the hell out of me. I mean, Yaphet Kotto does a great job of making Lieutenant Al Giardello, a very imposing character, to where it's like he almost doesn't have to raise his voice unless it's necessary. But now he has to make himself clear to Bayless. Here it comes. And we're like, damn, you don't want to mess with him. Everybody's standing up, and Polito's reaction is hilarious. Wow. Everybody's like, yep. And now it's on the news. This news anchor is out to say, no, he doesn't even have his own desk. Oh, this is not what they need. And we get to meet, I think this is Barnfather's first show, yeah. Clayton LaBeouf, noted Washington, D.C. actor. Captain Barnfather, Colonel Granger. And you see the differences between how they handle cases. I mean, obviously, they handle the political angle and dealing with the press. And, like, look, they're trying to look good. And it also shows how, Giardello is more about closing the case than politics. Right. Right. Giardello stands by his men. Yeah, Barnfather's always about the dress code. It's annoying, but I love how G just defiantly puts his feet up on the table. And of course, now we get to learn that Bolander has quite the crush on Carol Blythe, and his way of sort of talking to her doesn't go off very well. Belzer's like, "Oh, that's not the way you want to go." Ned Beatty was in a lot of great movies and shows over the years. I think at one point he said that he thinks he did some of his best work on the show, and I think he did. It's kind of a bummer he left after season 3, but I imagine he had to give up a lot of opportunities when it came to this show, because it was shot in Baltimore while everything else was shot in L.A., at least back then anyway. She did, didn't she? Daniel Baldwin's great. I love it. I mean, he was so great at crafting a character who was kind of a bully, kind of a pain in the ass, but also probably a lot nicer than when you least expect it. Yeah, it's interesting how detectives have relationships with reporters, especially kids with Giardello. First mention of the Araber, Risley Tucker. Yes, he does. That's right. It's primary. Pebbleton doesn't like it, but hey. But this rookie may know more than he lets on. Okay, and once again we're on location. They're about to bring out the troops and search for evidence. Barnfather's being nice to Bayless even though he wants him off the case. Well, these actors, do we get to see them in the later episodes? I don't know, maybe. Now we got another plot thread here with Kay Howard and Bo Felton. I know she's talking about, hey, a ghost of Agnes Saunders. I mean, it's kind of a fantastical episode. I like how the episode, in Noel Behn and company, they don't give a definitive answer. Did she really see a ghost? I mean, anything's possible, and to explain it all would sort of take away from the mystery of it. Yep. Perhaps that's it. Never hurts to look. God, she's great here. She definitely wants to be treated like one of the guys, and she is. I mean, it just feels real. Everything feels real, largely because it was shot in Baltimore. It wasn't shot anywhere else. A lot of shows, like NYPD Blue, would shoot in some scenes in New York, and then they would shoot others in Los Angeles. Yeah, now we hear about her streak. She has a 100% clearance rate. None of the other detectives have that. That's right, some things can't be explained. Daniel Baldwin, this is probably the best thing he's ever done as an actor, and sadly probably the best thing he ever will do as an actor. His career was never the same after he left. I did enjoy him in John Carpenter's Vampires. Yeah, it always feels like very rare when a detective pays for lunch. Everyone's looking for a lieutenant to pick up the tab. It's great. I actually when I was in Maryland a few years ago, I went to a restaurant and got to do what these guys are doing, smash the crabs open. Quite cathartic. It was my first time, though. I don't think I did a very good job. $48, huh? Approximately. Yeah. There's a certain point you just don't want to be honest about your age. It's amazing how we go from, yeah, I'm a year older, to, oh, fuck me, I'm a year older. The aviator sunglasses were a thing back then. Uh-huh. Melchick always does it. He kind of slaps people in the face. I think he knows just where to hit the person in the face so it's like a camera doesn't hurt. This guy's great. He just keeps talking in riddles. Exactly. Yeah, I like a chipmunk. Those are economy cars, and the department still doesn't want them damaged. One thing they mention about cops is paperwork. It's a lot of paperwork. It's like on one hand, he's kind of a bit of a bully, Felton, but he does have a sweet side, and he cares enough about Kay to leave him. And now, I mean, these two do seem to have an attraction to one another, and this is kind of their way of dealing with it. Hmm. Yeah, death by cellar stairs. That's not gonna be the case. That's right. We learned that again, time and time again. Male examiner has quite the say when it comes to death. I like Pembleton's glasses. I had a pair of those once. I don't think they look as good on me as they do on him, though. Exactly. Yeah. The first couple days are the most important in a homicide case. Here we have a significant clue. Now, this reporter, we wouldn't see her again after this season. Yeah, everybody's gunning for exclusive. Ah, nice cut to black. I mean, that could have been a moment where they added like a big dramatic musical cue, but no, they just cut to black. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah, sometimes Felton doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut. Yeah. After a while, you want to use anything and everything. Felton, doesn't he sleep? I love it. He doesn't pick up on what Bunch is saying right away. I was like, come on, let this be the guy. Let this be the guy. The sooner we close this, the better. We get another classic moment of Pembleton in the box. I have that sort of $1,000,000 stare of Pembleton's. Yeah. Yeah. This is an important piece of dialogue here. Right. It will go down. These things take time. Maybe you won't close it now. Maybe you'll close it in a year or two from now. Who knows? And here she is dreaming again. Kay Howard. And she has a cat. I love how it sort of Felton ends up sort of sticking up for Howard, and he says, you know what, I shouldn't have done that. Let me see if I can find a way in. Find a way to close this case. Ah! Caught red-handed. Hmm. Oh, guess not. Right. You know, I mean, some of the partners here, they're not always the best of friends, but these two end up probably having one of the best friendships in the show, you know? Tarot cards. Whatever works. And of course, we see Thorman again and come to see that Grassetti trained Thorman to be a cop. Unanswered questions are basic statements of fact. Yeah, I think this is what this episode deals with: unanswered questions. Some which do have an answer, some which don't. Nice. Well, yeah, that didn't really that storyline didn't last. Flooding Memorial Stadium did it. Peace offering, huh? Song made famous in Jaws. This is a powerful scene. Right. I keep thinking, do we see the Araber in this scene? Gospel music. Gospel music makes a believer out of non-believers. Is that the Araber? No, I guess not, but it's tempting to believe it is. It's a reminder again that Bayless is our entrance to this show. I mean, while everybody around him is experienced in their jobs, he's a novice and he's getting too emotionally involved in the case. But he's defiant. He's going to close this case, or so he thinks. I love that look in her face. I mean, this was the second episode of the show, and I was like, well, now that Barry Levinson's not directing it, it's like, it's going to fall apart, right? And no, it didn't. Barry Levinson set a very specific style for the show that other directors were not able to really work around. And they pulled off. They from here on out, it was consistently strong, the series, and remains so. And it remained so for the majority of its run. Okay, well, that's it for Ghost of a Chance. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see if we can do some more in the future. This is the Ultimate Rabbit saying good night.